You get Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, saying he's going to sue Blake Lively into oblivion, was a direct quote. And I'm like, into oblivion? Sue her to smithereens. And we're sitting with bated breath, right? Waiting for this lawsuit from Justin Baldoni to drop against Blake Lively and maybe Ryan Reynolds. What is up, everyone? Welcome in. Everybody get up. It's time to slam now. Is that the words? I hope it's the words. That's embarrassing. I grew up on Space Jam. We got a real thing going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Sometimes you just need a little extra pep in your step. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Every time I'm feeling a little down, a little cold, it's -7 degrees outside, I just sing Space Jam. And for some reason, that makes me feel like I'm getting on the right foot, you know? Even if I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, come on and slam. Now everybody jam gets me on the right side of the bed. So here we are. Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are doing good. Let me tell you, it's breaking my heart what's going on over there in LA with the Palisades fire. I mean, I never have to experience anything like that being in Northeast Ohio. We have, in fact, like the opposite effect. We're in a frozen tundra right now, but man, it's heartbreaking to see all of those things go on in the media. So if you're in LA, please be safe. I mean, I know I really can't do anything for you from over here, but just know that I've been thinking about you guys. I've been praying about you guys, and I hope that everything is okay. I mean, other than that, you know, pretty even keeled week. I broke my toe. Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? I'm walking around with like a cooked green bean as a pinky toe, you know, just like fluffed up a little bit. Feels like I'm walking on a balloon over here. Broke my toe. Never broke a bone before. And they tell me can't do nothing about it. Sorry, you're just not going to be able to walk for, 3 to 6 weeks. And of course, I didn't actually go to the doctor. Nobody actually told me that my toe was broken. But why would you go to the doctor if they can't do anything for a broken toe? You can pay $400 for an x-ray for them to tell you sit tight. No, I'm not doing it. So had to pause my gym membership. They asked me for a doctor's note, and I'm like, why do I feel like I just got called to the principal's office? I don't have a doctor's note. Like, are they not going to let me freeze my gym membership because I don't have a doctor's note? They did. But that sent me into a little bit of a spiral. So I'm just hobbling around. So, I am milking it though. I'm milking it big time with David, my husband, David. I'm like, oh, honey, I can't get up and turn the light switch on. Will you please? Will you? And he does. Because I have a great husband. Will you please go do the dishes? I can't walk my pinky down. And he does it. Best husband ever goes to David. But you know what? It also was a little bit of like, this is my time, my moment. Because y'all know how men are whenever they're sick. Can't do a thing. Can't lift a pinky toe when they're sick. And David has been there before. He's not terrible. But you know how it is. So, that's just me living my life over here, still congested. I feel like this congestion is just a part of my personality now. I just am nasally Nelly for the rest of my life. And I got a mini balloon on my pinky toe. But we have a lot of stuff to discuss today on MPT. Some of it I'm really not looking forward to be completely honest with you. But let's start with Craigie. Craigie speaks. Craig Conover. He speaks. He's alive. Because for a second, I didn't know. For a second, I thought Craig was rolled up in the fetal position, crying into his nutcracker pillow, into the Paige DeSorbo collection that has been scrubbed from the Sewing Down South website. I was worried for our boy Craig. Because like I said last week, Craig loves love. And I just believe that he wanted this to be with Paige so bad that he just believed it to the bitter end. And here we are at the bitter end, right? Well, Craig emerged this week in a beautiful little cream cable knit sweater with his hair perfectly coiffed, sitting on what looked like his front porch to like a Charleston, like castle, you know? Like, he looked like that prince off of Frozen, you know, just like getting ready to tell it. He's smiling. He's like cuddled up in his cable knit. And he speaks about his breakup with Paige. And it was very optimistic, actually, right? Now, he did kind of spill some tea in a positive way. He was like pulling a Morgan, I felt. I'm like, wow, I am Craig. Craig is me. Craig and I do have the same birthday. So maybe we're the same person, this version of Craig, okay? Not like 10 years ago, Craig. That was a different person. But anyways, he went on his Instagram story. He said, yeah, it was very unexpected. Right before the holidays, I was shocked, but I'm going to be okay. You know, I got to start living again. I got to find my new normal. Triggered immediately. Weren't you guys triggered when he was like, I got to find my new normal? And it took me right back to March 15th, 2020. When that was the catchphrase of the year. The slogan for 2020 was the new normal. And I'm like, please, we got to retire it because PTSD, it immediately takes me back to a time where time was not a thing. You know, like that year is just a blur to me. I have suppressed that from my memory until Craig said it in this little video. But he says, you know, gratitude will get you through. With time comes clarity. You can't control others. He says, be kind to Paige. Be kind to me. I'm still processing it. I'm taking my own advice. You know, you'll never not be better off after a breakup. You just got to take some time. Have faith in God that everything happens for a reason. I'm like, okay, Craig, preach, brother. Preach, brother Craig. You know, I think, first of all, social media is a lie. So like, we know that he's hurting, right? We know that he's heartbroken. I'm sure Paige is hurting too for different reasons. But I think something that I've been thinking a lot this week because, you know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, I feel, for Craig. Because a lot of women are on social media. The Giggly Squad is like coming through. But, you know, Craig does have a solid fan base as well. And I don't really feel like too many people have been like pitting them against each other as much as it is like, you know, Paige even talked about it in Giggly Squad this week, like the misogyny of the 65-year-old boy moms who are like, Paige is evil. She's not evil, right? But there is this narrative around their breakup where it's kind of giving like Craig was holding her back from her future. Like I just see her as like a slingshot, right, in New York City. Everybody's talking about how her career is booming, and it is, right? It is. And she's like, I feel like, you know, this relationship no longer serves me. I feel like it's not what's right for my future, which is all valid and good, and like good on Paige for recognizing that. And it is the right decision for her and her career. If I'm Craig, that makes me feel some type of way, you know, because it almost, if you're the one in the breakup, it's like, oh, everybody's online praising my ex-girlfriend from walking away from this relationship so she can soar. And it's like, well, what am I? Like chopped liver? You know, like, and just because it's just two different futures, right? Like Craig wanted his future to be the white picket fence that he already has, but with the little kiddos running around, diving headfirst into that gorgeous pool, right? And Paige wants to be flying all over, doing podcast tours, you know, building her empire. And I just know, okay, maybe it's because I have my own little personal experience with this type of relationship, a previous relationship that I was in, where one of my exes played a professional sport. And, you know, I was like a senior in college, and he went to this team. And I just felt totally like discarded and left behind. You know, and it's like, it wasn't even a second thought for him to move across the country. And like, obviously looking back, duh, like that was the right choice for him in his life. And it was the right choice for me in my life. That relationship was not the right one for me. But I remember in the moment just feeling like, well, am I worth nothing to you? That like you wouldn't even sit and have this conversation with me about this, about you, you know, wanting to live across the United States. Did our relationship mean nothing? And maybe that's just me like projecting my own experience onto Craig. But like that feeling sucks. And I really hope that Craig doesn't feel like that. I also feel like it is a bit of a cultural thing where in New York City, like New York City culture is to get married for a woman at 40, for a man at like 55, you know? And Charleston culture is getting married at 23, popping your first baby out by 25. So it just is what it is. I'm glad to see that Craig was in better spirits than I thought he was going to be. Can I also just say something? You're like, yeah, Morgan, that's kind of the point. You know how they were talking about, like, there's all these blind items about how, you know, one of his favorite Bravo couples is waiting until their show starts filming to break up because the network said blah, 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 blah. And Paige was like, no, that's not true. I've been thinking more about that. And I'm a little skeptical of it. Now, I don't, like she said, you know, I never thought that blind was about them because I don't think that Paige would wait until July or, you know, April or whenever Southern Charm started filming to end a relationship if she didn't want to be in it. But like looking back, something was going on, right? Like there was something out there in the universe that made that blind item come to light. And listen to me, just being all kinds of wishy-washy because you guys know how I feel about blind items. But like where there was smoke, there was a fire. And it might not have been 100% accurate, but like that had to have come from somewhere, right? Because it doesn't just come up 6 weeks before they break up and there be nothing to it at all. So I don't know. I've just been a little bit more skeptical about that lately, but it's a blind item. So what can you do? All right, number 2. More It Ends With Us drama. I feel like we're going to have this every single week in the Pop 3, but this just came out this week. Brian Friedman, who is Justin Baldoni's attorney, was on the Megyn Kelly show earlier this week, and they released this leaked audio of Justin Baldoni the night of the It Ends With Us premiere where him and his family were like chilling in the basement, I guess. So this is what it said on the recording. He says, on what could have been the most beautiful nights of my career, I was literally sent to the basement with all my friends and family for over an hour because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. So they ushered me off the carpet and sent us down to the basement. We were down there together, my friends and family, the people that love me the most. We started laughing because of the ridiculousness of this whole thing. And I realized, like, on a night that was supposed to be so materialistically joyful, I was in the basement with the people that love me most. And we were all joyful and laughing because none of that matters. None of it. That's not why we're in the business, to attend a premiere and be celebrated like that. We're in it because we're artists and we believe in what we do, and because we want to celebrate art, or we want to create art that touches people's souls and can move people. And that's what we did. And that's what you both did. And I believe that will follow us. The truth will prevail and light and love will win. All right. That's a lot to digest. That, and then you get Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, saying he's going to sue Blake Lively into oblivion, was a direct quote. And I'm like, into oblivion? Sue her to smithereens. And we're sitting with bated breath, right? Waiting for this lawsuit from Justin Baldoni to drop against Blake Lively and maybe Ryan Reynolds. Because I saw he said that too. You know, we're going to be suing multiple people, Blake Lively into oblivion, potentially Ryan Reynolds. So we also did another interview with News Nation's Chris Cuomo earlier this week, and he said, we're going to take what the young kids call receipts. And we're going to take those text messages. We're going to put them out for the public to see. We're doing it as we speak, and we have been doing it. And what you're starting to see is you're starting to see a complete turnaround in this story. And you're starting to see a turnaround because people are questioning, is this truthful or not? It is painfully ironic that Blake Lively is accusing Justin Baldoni of weaponizing the media when her own team orchestrated this vicious attack by sending the New York Times grossly edited documents prior to even filing the complaint, which is interesting, right? Do you see why I was slow to be Team Justin or Team Blake Lively? Because ping pong, back and forth we go. And until I see this lawsuit that is suing Blake Lively into smithereens, into oblivion, I'm just going to keep it right, keep it tight. Let's talk about Jennifer Aydin. You guys. I have been avoiding this story like the plague because there are just certain people that I'm innately turned off to. And anytime I see a headline about this person, I'm like, I just do not have the wherewithal to deal with this at this current moment in time. Jen Aydin is one of those people. And after ignoring this story for a week and diving into it for this episode, I'm like, yeah, I made the right decision to not dive into this. Because she went off on this Jersey Mike's employee at an airport. And this employee was like 80 years old, okay? So she was mad that things were taking too long, whatever. She was calling out this woman behind the counter. She was calling out customers. She said at one point, I'm a bleeping celebrity. You bleep. And fans were in the comments calling out her for Karen-like behavior. With one saying, imagine making fun of a poor woman just trying to do her job during the busiest time of the year, and to make it worse, age shame her. Unreal. In a deleted video by one of the Jersey Mike's employees, they went on to explain how Jennifer Aydin kept changing her order. She's like trying to order a tuna sandwich, I think at like 4 o'clock in the morning, which tells us everything we need to know about the mental state of Jennifer Aydin in that moment, right? So this employee is like, she kept trying to change her order and add additional items on, like while we were making it. She was like, oh, I can also get it like this and I can put things on it like, and it's like, no, that's not how you work. You already ordered, like we're in the middle of trying to get through this line. And now that all of this has blown up, Jennifer Aydin has been dropped from the Wives on the Waves Fans at Sea cruise. This is how you know New Jersey's on a pause. Because Teresa Giudice and Dolores Catania are going on Wives on the Waves Fans at Sea cruise. And Jennifer Aydin was supposed to be on it. Sorry, I'm like trying. Look, I'm not going to shade him because I also would do anything for a paycheck. Like I would do it. If you want to come on a cruise with me, yes, absolutely. But it just seems like a ridiculous concept, does it not? Because I've been to BravoCon. I know it's going to be something like BravoCon where you have to line up to like get an autograph. It just would be too much. You're already packed in there like sardines on a cruise ship. Can you imagine like trying to wait in a line to meet a reality TV celebrity? It's just too much. It's just too much for me. So anyways, organizers decided to cut Jen Aydin right out of that, citing their priority is to create a drama-free, fun-filled experience for everyone, saying that it wasn't personal or an act of canceling anyone. Okay, whatever you want to tell yourself. Waves of the sea. If you don't want her there, just say that. It is what it is. It's fine. Honestly, Jen Aydin kind of deserves it at this point. She should be banned from Jersey Mike's forever. All right, now let's get into this week's deep dive. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't want to do this deep dive at all. I really don't want to talk about this. I haven't posted any content about it online because it just feels icky. The story to me is a bit icky. And that is Allison Holker releasing her memoir and the backlash that she has received since doing these interviews with news outlets from friends and family of Stephen Twitch bosses. So just to kind of reset the table, Allison Holker was married to Stephen Twitch boss, who tragically passed away in 2022 from a suicide. And the world was shocked because Stephen Boss was just like the brightest light ever. Anytime you saw him on any of the shows that he was on, whether it was So You Think You Can Dance or, the Ellen DeGeneres show, he was the DJ for a long time. And he just seemed like, this bigger than life personality, right? We were all shocked when we learned that he took his own life. And I think it caused for some introspection. They always say it seems like the people who are the happiest, who put on that front, those are the people who always struggle the most, right? So now his wife, Allison, has written a memoir. And this memoir, coupled with the press that she's doing for the book, has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So there's this 18-minute video interview that was put together by People magazine. It's on People's website. It's also on YouTube. And she talks about a lot of different things in this portion of the interview. She talks about not seeing some signs that were there. She talks about, the fact that Steven and Twitch were kind of two different personas, and those kind of battled each other at times. She talks about how she had to have conversations with her kids about what happened and how she's proud of her kids for handling things the way that she did. She also tells this story about how she was cleaning out a closet and picking out an outfit for him to wear for his funeral, and found a shoebox of things that she didn't know existed and that he was self-medicating. Now, in the video, that's where it stops. And I watched the video before I read the article, okay? So I'm just going to continue with the video and then get into what was written. So in the video, she also says her friend stopped her one day and told her, you need to document everything because it's going to be important for you to one day tell your story. And she said at first she thought it was ridiculous. She wasn't in a place to, write anything down, or that wasn't even on her mind. But slowly but surely it started to become a form of therapy for her. Then she says, I took my ring off a couple months after losing him because it was a trigger for me. I'm always kind of like wrestling my hands around and twisting my rings. And every time I would end up twisting my ring, it would trigger, this painful memory for her. So that's kind of where the video ended. And I was like, okay, well, I can understand why, people would be put off by the fact that she mentions the closet situation, but she really didn't go into too much detail. And I had already seen the extent of the backlash. So after watching that video, I was like, well, I don't think that's really warranted. Well, then I read the article, and the article goes into a lot more detail than the video interview. So I'm not going to go into all the details of the article because honestly, I don't think that all of the details are necessary. But it did say that she uncovered a cornucopia of drugs and then goes on to name them. She also says he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, saying that he was trying to self-medicate and cope with feelings because he didn't want to put those feelings on anybody else. She also alleges that in his journal, he had written about some abuse from his childhood. She goes into more detail. And not explicit detail, but more detail than that, right? And he didn't want other people to take his pain. So she underscores that she's now using his struggles in the aftermath of his death in hopes of saving even just one person who has been struggling in silence, which I think is a good message. It's an important message, but I feel like it gets lost in the way that it's been distributed to the general public, right? And friends and family of him were quick to honestly rip her apart from this. I'm just going to read a couple things here that have been posted publicly by friends and family. So this is from Courtney Ann Platt. She was on So You Think You Can Dance. It's long, okay? So bear with me. This is what she says. She posted a picture of Allison and the People magazine, the little YouTube describer of the video. She says, anyone who knows me knows I go straight to the source during a conflict and handle my business. But since there's clearly no shame in being so public, I haven't said a word in 2 years, but here I go. I was there the moment you both connected. I was there the day you got engaged. I stood by your side on your wedding day. I was in your home the day he died. I was by your side because your husband was my family. It didn't matter how often we spoke, how often we saw each other. We were bonded forever. This is by far the most tacky, classless, opportunistic act I have ever seen in my entire life. We all had to sign some weird NDA to attend his funeral, even his own mother, who you've treated like garbage this entire time. And let's just remember, you wouldn't have even had a husband if it was not for her. Not to share anything or ruin his name as if that was on anyone's mind in the first place. And here you go and write a book with all the dirty laundry smearing his name and attempting to dim the bright, loyal, loving light that was your husband and my friend. Whether any of it is true or not is actually beside the point. This is how you protect the boss name you so quickly dropped on your social media platforms 48 hours after he passed, his legacy, This is how you protect his children from any further humiliation, hurt, and despair. This is what you want them to remember about him. You have moved on. You're living your life. You're on every carpet you can get on, every celebrity row you can sit in, every magazine you can be in, and you needed to do this. Then she says, get a journal, a therapist, a friend, but publishing a book, shamelessly sharing the pages of your husband's journal, People magazine, what a joke. Yes, he took his own life, which is, in fact, all of us can't still fathom. And he was clearly having mental health issues, hurting so deeply. And this is your example of empathy, of your love. This smear campaign for a buck is absolutely not what he would have ever wanted, no matter how bad he was hurting. Not for a second. You're a living, breathing bulldozer. Stick to your own demons. Shame on you, Allison. Shame on your money-hungry team. Let my friend rest in peace, not your PR. Yeah. Whoa. Right? Whoa. According to Us Weekly, his brother, Dre Rose, meanwhile, claimed there's been ongoing tension between Steven's family and Allison, saying, we have noticed a disturbing lack of communication and inclusion concerning the children's activities and well-being. It's disheartening that their interactions with their grandmother and the wider family have been noticeably limited. And then this is allegedly Steven's cousin tweeted, yeah, I don't give about an NDA. This woman made me and his actual family sign an NDA just to even attend the funeral. She's been trying to tarnish his legacy and refuses to let the Boss family see the children, only to exploit and lie on my cousin. Then fellow dancer Kelly Gibson wrote on social media, this whole thing made me sad. He's gone. Why tear apart this name? This paycheck was not worth disgracing his name. Allison responded to that and said, I'll always love you. Just trying to help people feel safe to ask for help and support. So, she's going into detail about what went on behind closed doors, reading pages of his journal. Like, it's just too far. I think everybody can agree that it's just too far. I think there are ways to get the same message across without having to cross that line. And, people are pointing out that he didn't have any drugs or alcohol in his system when he died, according to the autopsy report. So here's the thing with Allison Holker and the memoir. She has a right to tell her story. In my opinion, she does not have a right to tell his story. And the two have gotten mixed up. And she might think, well, his story is my story, but it's actually not. His private journal entries, what he had in his closet, is not your story to tell. There's a fine line, and I do understand the message because I think it's an important message that people should not suffer in silence, and that is true. But also, let's not get it twisted. A goal in this is to sell books. And how do you sell books? I don't really think I need to spell it out for you, do I? I'm just surprised because I feel like there is a way to get this message across that you don't have to suffer in silence. And if you are, there are ways for you to get better if you let people in and let people help you, especially those closest to you who love and support you. There's a way to do that and to get that message across without telling all of these dirty laundry details that only make for lack of better word, juicier book. And now you're causing strife with the family, with friends. This will affect the kids. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I feel like we would all be very naive to think that there wasn't ever a moment where, whether it was just internally in her mind or someone from her team was like, oh, this is all going to go over swimmingly. No, there has to be a moment where you realize that all of this information coming out is going to have a ripple effect. Is that ripple effect worth it? I think for a lot of us, the answer would be no. But apparently that answer was not no for her. It's also the timing for me, right? It's only been 2 years. 2 years is not a lot of time. And I feel like, I've never lost anybody in the way that she has. And like, God willing, I never do. And I can't imagine the different type of emotions that you go through, an emotional roller coaster that you go through where, you can be sad and mad and some days have hope and other days not have hope. Like, I don't want to discount any of her feelings going through something so tragic. But 2 years just does feel like a very short amount of time, and books takes time to write. You don't write a book in 4 weeks. So I don't know. I don't love it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't love it. And I do think that part of it is a good message. Like I've said, I understand that. But I think that message has quickly, by the reaction of friends and family, has quickly got lost in the desire to sell books. Another thought that I have that I don't know the answer to, so like, don't come for me. It's just a thought that I had while researching this, is that we don't probably know what type of financial situation she was left in or that she put herself in, So I'm not going to sit here and say like that she's the worst person in the world, but I don't like the choice. How's that? I don't like the choice, and I don't think their friends and family like it either. All right? Hard pivot. Are you ready? Hard pivot into final thoughts. We got to talk about the Golden Globes. The award show's back. Did Nikki Glaser single-handedly raise award shows back to life from the dead, from 6 feet under? Because let me tell you, even as early as like last year, I could have cared less about award shows. I'm like, oh, here we go again. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Like, whatever. She crushed it. She single-handedly brought them back. And, everyone's talking about how amazing Nikki Glaser did. I mean, incredible, flawless. I thought everything she did was funny. And I'm a tough cookie. I don't really find everything to be funny. And I only like certain comedians, specific comedians. She crushed it. And she got paid less than the male who hosted last year, but she's signed a 3-year deal before she did this first one. So, unless something crazy happens, she's going to come back and she's going to get more money. But like, props to Nikki Glaser. She deserves all of the social media praise that she is getting because she absolutely crushed it. And there were some major moments that happened at the Golden Globes. Hello, Zendaya engaged to Tom Holland. What? So Zendaya rocks up looking beautiful as ever. Like, she could wear a trash bag and she would still look like the most gorgeous woman to walk through the doors. And she walks up with this ring on that finger. And she's just like posing with her hand on her hip like, hello, everyone. Knowing exactly what she's doing, right? I loved it. I loved every second of it. And, I'm such a like pushover that I'm like, oh, we shouldn't speculate. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, my eyes did not ever once come off of that ring, trying to figure out if it was an engagement ring or not. And then it comes out the next day, on TMZ and whatever, that she's engaged to Tom Holland. So like, amazing. Kylie and Timothy. I mean, I can't do it as well as Nikki Glaser did it, but Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet. And like, how did none of us notice until Nikki Glaser said it, that Timothy Chalamet does have the most beautiful eyelashes on his upper lip? Like, it's true. It's funny because it's true. And then there they are together. So there was also this little blip on the Golden Globes coverage where it's like, did Demi Moore snub Kylie Jenner? This was another one where I saw it and I was like, don't care. I'm like, if she did, don't care. If she didn't, don't care. Like, don't care enough to really look into it. But I also just didn't, like, people want to make something out of everything. There's this video of Demi talking to people at Kylie's table and doesn't necessarily like go out of her way to be buddy-buddy with Kylie Jenner. But like, maybe she doesn't know her. Who cares? You don't have to sit there and like kiss everybody's baby. I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. And honestly, as someone who's not like a big movie person or like serious TV show person, I found it to be very intriguing who won things. First of all, Baby Reindeer, yes. Yes, Baby Reindeer for everything. It won a lot of good stuff, right? There were some wicked snubs. Like, okay, I just saw Wicked like on Saturday. I know I'm way late, but honestly, I couldn't get into the bougie movie theater, and I'm 32 years old. I'm not going to like the movie theater down the hall because honestly, like, it smells a little bit like a trap house in there. I'm going to the one where you can recline all the way back and have dinner like served to you. That's where I'm at in my life right now. So couldn't get into this weekend. Watched it, cried. I didn't know anything about Wicked either. I like never saw the play. I was never a Wicked girly growing up. Like wasn't a theater kid in that regard. I kind of was, but I didn't know anything about Wicked. Tears flowing through me the last whole 45 minutes of the show. So for them to only win box office achievement at the Golden Globes, I'm like, I wonder if this sets the tone for the rest of award season for them. You know, if they're going to get to the Oscars and like this kind of be the same thing where it's like everybody only talked about Wicked the whole entire year. So to see them only win that was kind of like, ruh-roh. I don't really know of any of the movies that I don't know anything about this stuff, you guys, which is funny because it's kind of my job. But I will say there was one show that won a lot of awards, Shogun, and David and I started watching it this week, and it's really good. It's really good. It's like set in the 1600s in Japan, and it's kind of it's like giving Game of Thrones a little bit with also a little bit of Succession, but like in the 1600s in Japan. I sound like an idiot trying to explain it. So, I mean, if you're looking for something that's an intense watch, like so far so good. We're only 2 episodes in, but it won everything at the Golden Globes. So I'm in it. Maybe I'll report back. Maybe I'll become a Shogun expert. I have no idea. But there you have it, girlies. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of MPT. Please leave a review, a little 5-star boop boop, a little love you like assist. It helps boost me. I need a little booster every now and then. Up the charts. It helps people find the show. So if you haven't left a review, please do so. Make sure you're tuned in for Bravo Friday on the Patreon. Of course, we have your pop culture extra today too on the Patreon as well. You can subscribe at patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks. If not, I'll see you back next week. Okay. Love you like a sis.